Hey everybody, how's it going? Jenazad here. So, I want to make this video to talk about a huge mistake a lot of players in Wuthering Waves have been making. So it's related to the ecosystem, and I think the ecosystem is actually a really ingenious way of making a gearing system in a game. Because it's cool that you get to kill all enemies and they just drop gear, just any enemy on the map, rather than going to a certain place to farm gear, and you can infinitely do that, which I think is incredibly smart. However, there's also a pitfall with this that a lot of players are falling into. Even though you can infinitely farm these echoes, you can't infinitely upgrade them. And this is related to the tuners and the echo XP materials that you get, right? Of course, you want to get your main DPS really strong. You want to upgrade all your stuff to plus 25. You want to get really high damage to your characters with lots of crit rate, crit damage. But the thing is, how much is it really costing to get this? So if you look at an echo like this looks really good. I mean, all of this is really strong. It's super good on the character. Chisha cares about crit rate, basic attack damage a little bit, energy regen, crit damage, resonance skill damage. That's all amazing. But then you look at some of these other echoes. Like for instance, look at this one. HP, defense, heavy attack, basic attack damage bonus. And it's arrow, right? Which is hard to get. But at the same time, those aren't really good stats. Like who wants to use this? Jianshin, Jian, Alto? They don't really like most of these stats. Like only like the heavy attack damage or maybe some of the basic attack, and the flat attack's okay, but it's not amazing. But I plus 25 that. How much did it cost to plus 25 that? Well, if we look at this wolf right here, and we feed some of this into it, that's taking 65,000 experience to go from plus 20 to plus 25. And every single time you run a Tacit Field, which costs about 60 wave plates or so, you're getting like 1 of the gold ones and 6 of the purple ones. So you're telling me to go from 20 to 25, you basically have to spend like 180 to 240 wave plates just to upgrade that, right? And sure, you could feed other stuff into this, right? Because there's diminishing returns. So like, let's say I wanted to feed this car into it, right? That gives a ton of experience, but it's still a diminishing return, and you get 1/3 of the tuners back as well, but that still costs a lot. So what a lot of people are doing is they're wasting their resources by upgrading stuff that doesn't really have a ton of potential. You have to keep in mind, you can farm these infinitely, but you can't upgrade them infinitely, and some are harder to farm than others, right? The hardest to farm thing is definitely, as we all know, the 3 cost. Because what do you want? You want something like arrow element, or havoc, or fusion, or energy regen and a certain type, right? And that's really hard to get with the main stat and substat. So for 3 cost, you can be a little more lenient. For instance, look at this. This has flat defense on the first roll. That's pretty bad. But you could maybe go to plus 10 just to fish around to see what you're actually getting. But if at plus 10 it gets like flat HP, that's looking pretty bad. You might want to fish for another one, right? But if we're talking a 1 cost echo, like this one has flat HP, the moment that gets flat HP, I'm just dropping it. I'm not going to upgrade it anymore because this is a 1 cost echo and they're a dime a dozen. There's so many enemies on the map that are 1 cost that you can farm, and there's only 3 main stats: attack, defense, and HP for 1 cost. So odds are you'll be able to get another one of these really easily, and you might be able to get a main stat that ensures it's good. But if you're starting off on the wrong foot this early, you shouldn't really continue. And that's the same for 4 cost echoes as well. You see, if you get something good like attack percent, you could go, okay, that's really nice, let's go for the second one. Maybe you get resonance skill damage and you go, well, my characters use it a little bit, but it's not amazing. That's like half a roll, right? Because my characters don't really utilize the skill resonance damage as much, right? Then I get heavy attack damage. I'm like, okay, Jian really likes those stats. Like those are all helpful to him. And then I get the flat attack. It's like, okay, I mean, that's passable. And then you get the HP. It's like, oh, that was a crap roll and it cost me so much XP, right? But that's actually a decent case. Like that was relatively lucky. But then you look at something like this. The moment you get HP, you could go, you know, I think I can probably get another crit damage drop of Dreamless, right? It's way easier to farm these 4 cost. Because the 3 costs are so difficult to get, but the 4 costs and 1 cost really aren't that bad. And I think most people are down to kind of just spend a bunch of time farming them. Of course, it depends on how much time in the day that you actually have. But what's important is knowing how rare some of these are, because there's way less main stats for the 4 cost and 1 cost, while those 3 cost, getting the main stat and that set is so difficult, so you should be more lenient towards those. But even if the 3 cost is rolling really bad, you shouldn't just waste all of your resources on it just to get the 3 cost, because you can endlessly farm. You can go to other people's worlds, etc. But if you're more of a casual player, you're not really grinding super hard, then I think it's okay to be more lenient, because even though you're a more casual player, you're also farming for them less, you're getting less of them total, so settling for less can be okay. And also you're using your wave plates probably every day just to farm the tacit field, so you're going to be able to build up a large amount of resources, so it shouldn't be as bad. But if you're playing a lot, you're like really grinding this game, you should not be wasting resources, because a lot of players are running out of tuners and experience and just going, where am I supposed to get this? Like, you can get it from Illusory Realm, you can get it from the holograms, you can get it from Tower of Adversity, but so many people are still running out with all of that because they're just wasting it on everything that they see, just hoping they get good stats. They go too far with it, realize, oh, that rolled like crap, I guess, kind of from the start, and then they don't really know what to do. One example is, like, look at this. Crit rate, crit damage, that's an insane start. That's god tier. But then I got flat defense and heavy attack. That's not so good, right? And you might say, heavy attack's good, but you gotta realize, who am I using this on? It's a fire one. So I'm using on Chisha, which is the character using it right now, and I'm using it on Encore. Well, neither of them really care that much about heavy attack damage, right? That's basically 0 damage for Chisha and a really tiny amount for Encore, so that's kind of 2 dead rolls. So I'm hesitant on upgrading that to plus 25, because I can farm tons of 1 cost, but those 5 levels are going to cost me an insane amount of wave plates. And as for this one, it's like basic attack damage was okay, that's alright. That's not really amazing for Chisha. That's way better for Encore, right? Crit damage, that's amazing. But then the flat defense, I think of it like, well, I could probably get another, because you got to think about it this way, right? What if the next 2 stats also suck? Then you're wasting a crazy amount of experience on something you could kind of just farm again and fish for. That's why if something is bad at plus 5 or plus 10, like, you really got to think to yourself, do I actually care about these rolls? And here's another tip that a lot of people have been talking about. You can deterministically farm these echoes way easier than you may think, because there's actually a pity for the drop of 4 cost and 3 cost echoes, the elites and the overlord echoes. If you haven't heard about this already, so let's say you want to farm Inferno Rider. Every other time you kill the 4 cost boss, it will drop an echo. Every other time. So if you didn't drop it on the first one, the second one will, 100%. So what you can do with this is, let's say you want to make sure you get this guy, and the first echo, or first time you kill it, it drops an echo. Then you want to go fight a different boss. Kill that, it won't drop an echo. Then you go back to the Inferno Rider, kill him, and he'll drop an echo. So when people are trying to spam farm one of these, they're just continually hopping back and forth between 2 bosses to kill the one that'll guaranteed not drop the echo, and then killing Inferno Rider, and he always will. And this also applies for 3 cost echoes, the elite ones. Let's say you want to make sure you get a Tambourinist echo, because there's not many of them on the map, kind of hard to get. What you should do is, if you killed 3 elites and none of them dropped echoes, when you kill the Tambourinist on the 4th one, it will always drop an echo. Now, let's say you kill 2 elites and then one of them drops an echo, right? Then that timer resets, that pity count resets. So if you kill 3 enemies and then you kill that Tambourinist, you'll always get it though. So this means that it can be really worthwhile killing some of the crappier elites around to make sure that they don't drop the echo before you go essentially for the pity of getting the exact echo you want. And sure, it could still be a purple garbage echo, but it might be the exact gold one that you're looking for as well. So this is really important, because this means it's way easier to farm these 4 cost and 3 cost echoes that a lot of people first thought. So this means you should be even more strict with these echoes in a lot of ways, because you can always get more. Don't be super wasteful with your resources. You have to be careful with these, because everyone who's running out is feeling like really upset, because they're just thinking, what can I do? I can't get better gear anymore. So these are a few ways that I recommend people go about their entire ecosystem. Please don't be wasteful, or I guess you could just wail out potentially. But anyways, that's about it for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel. I'm making a lot of Wuthering Waves content, and thanks a bunch for watching. Hope to see you next time.